I was gonna do something kind of crazy for this video's intro, but I'm not really feeling the energy today, so I think I'm just gonna. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are taking a break from all the Helldivers and Deep Rock Galactic stuff to talk about a brand new game that just came out that has really caught my attention, and that game is called Hunters Inc. Now, to explain what this game is, imagine Deep Rock Galactic, but instead of a bunch of dwarves playing Minecraft, it's a bunch of orcs playing Monster Hunter. That's the main premise behind Hunters Inc. It is a 4-player cooperative game in which you take control of a bunch of burly and really fight-hungry orcs and go around hunting a bunch of very large monsters for their resources in order to upgrade your equipment and to prove that you are the strongest orc around. Now, this game has been on my radar for a long time, and the developers actually contacted me a while back when the demo was first coming out. So I've actually been able to play this game for quite a while now, but it just recently came out in early access the other day, so I figured it'd be a good chance to talk about it since now it's available to the public. Now, before we go any further, I want to make one thing very clear about this game, and that is that it is early access with a capital E. There are a lot of factors and a lot of features that this game just does not have implemented yet that they are going to implement later on. So keep in mind that this game is truly the definition of early access. But however, I do believe that the foundation and the framework that they have set up here for this game is very well put together, and the features that they do have planned further down the line seem like they're going to add quite a lot of depth to this game when it does officially hit 1.0. But just keep in mind that if you do want to try this game out, there are a lot of features that are currently not implemented, but they obviously won't be able to implement that if they don't have any support. So just throwing that out there as a quick disclaimer before we get into it. But now let's get into what the game actually is. Well, similar to Deep Rock Galactic, it is a 4-player cooperative PvE experience, but as I said, instead of going around mining minerals, playing as a bunch of dwarves, you're playing as a bunch of orcs going around hunting large creatures to gather their resources and upgrade your gear and progress that way. The gameplay is very similar to Deep Rock Galactic since the game was heavily inspired by it, especially in the sense that there are 4 playable classes: the Berserker, the Tracker, the Shaman, and the Smith, each of which have their own unique weapons and abilities, as well as different stats in terms of health and stamina that you can use. Obviously very much akin to the class system in Deep Rock Galactic, although translated to orcs relatively well, at least in my opinion. And the classes all do feel diverse enough to where they have their own sort of playstyle. However, the full extent of each of the classes' capabilities are not fully fleshed out yet, but they all feel different enough to where you can warrant experimenting with them to see which one you like the best. For example, the Berserker is for all you guys out there who like to go right up in front of the enemy. He's armed with a big sword and a bunch of throwing spears, as well as a grenade that can do a lot of damage. The Tracker is more for you stealthy guys out there who like to be a little bit quicker and more nimble. He has a ton of stamina. He has a dagger that he can attack very quickly with, as well as a short bow that he can use for heavy ranged attacks. The Shaman is more of a supportive role with the ability to heal his allies, as well as access to a flaming skull, which is a very interesting choice. And the Smith, which is my personal favorite, especially since he is very similar to the engineer from normal Deep Rock Galactic, has a big warhammer that is able to break enemy armor, and a boomstick, which is essentially just a blunderbuss that can take out enemies very easily. And I think my favorite thing about each of the classes is they all have their own sense ability. These are basically a way that the classes can see different things. You can see your allies, but also each one of them has a unique thing that they're able to track. For example, the Shaman has the ability to sense signs of the monster's health, and who they will attack. Meanwhile, the Blacksmith has the ability to see loot as well as smashable objects, which you can use to create more ammo for your weapons, as well as find other materials. The Tracker has the ability to, no surprise, track the monster and also show its weak points. And finally, the Berserker has the ability to smell monster blood, which I'll get into more when we actually talk about fighting the monsters, but it's very useful. So each of the classes have their own sort of playstyle, have their own gear, and the ability to be kitted out in a bunch of different ways. Now, they only do have limited weapons right now, but I'm assuming they're going to be adding more weapons to the classes later on down the line. Now, going into the actual gameplay loop and what a basic run or a basic hunt is like, it essentially functions very similar to Deep Rock Galactic. There are a lot of different biomes that you can go to and many different targets that you can hunt. As of right now, there's only one biome available in the game, which is the Blue Main Savanna, but there are several other biomes that they want to add into the game. And there's only a handful of monsters that you can fight, but there's still a good amount that you have a good variety of things that you can hunt, such as a simple Razan, which is a large alligator type monster, to an Ursinox, which is a large snow bear that is able to spawn glaciers, to even a Mantara, which is a crab that is able to explode. I'm not even kidding, and man, does he hurt a lot. So as I said, it is a interesting combination between Deep Rock Galactic and Monster Hunter. Basically, once you load into the mission, your first objective is to track and find the monster. And you have a couple different ways that you can do this. If you have a tracker, they could probably figure it out relatively easily, but the main way that you're probably going to do it is Porky. Porky is your little boar that comes with you on every single mission. To kind of think of Porky as Molly, except instead of storing minerals inside of Porky, you instead use Porky to help you track the monster. There's monster bone fragments all over the place, and if you use one of those bones and give them to Porky, he will gain a scent of the monster and lead you in the general direction of it. Now, he won't lead you directly to it. He might lose the scent after a while, and you might run into some other smaller monsters on the way, but Porky will eventually help get you to the monster in question. Then what you do, it's basically just a fight fest between you and your allies and the monster until either your entire team dies or the monster dies, one or the other. Afterwards, you get materials from the monster by hacking up its remains. No, literally, you actually just start whacking away at the monster's dead corpse and pieces will fly off and you will get resources for that, before eventually extracting, going back to the airship in order to get out. That's the basic general gameplay loop right now, and again, as I said, there's not a whole lot in this game as of right now, but there's enough to give you a basic understanding as to the core gameplay loop of the game that will then be expanded upon later. You can then use those materials to upgrade your weapons, upgrade your equipment, even upgrade your vision to be able to have it more effective before going on to the next hunt. Now, as I said, there isn't really a whole lot added into this game as of right now, but I do want to take a moment to appreciate just how well the foundation for this game is, and there are a lot of things that I really like about it. Number one, although they're basic and don't really have a whole lot of individuality right now, I do think the classes have enough variety and specialization to where each class does feel different enough to warrant trying them out and seeing which one you like, especially since they have different levels of health and stamina. So if you have a particular playstyle that you like to run, chances are you'll find one of the classes fits well for you. Another thing that I really like is that although there is a limited number of monsters right now, they do have quite a bit of variety and they all feel different enough to where I could go through a rotation of fighting them and not get bored because they're all different enough. And that definitely has me more confident for the future for different types of monsters that they could be adding. But probably one of my favorite features that this game has is the blood rage mechanic. Basically, as you're fighting the monster, you'll see the gauge in the very middle bottom of the screen start to fill up with red, and once it gets filled up, you can then release your blood rage, which will send you and all your nearby allies into a frenzy where your stamina will regenerate incredibly fast, allowing you to just deal massive damage to the monster. And you activate this in probably the most orc-like fashion. It's a lot of fun, and I could definitely see it being expanded to maybe have different effects depending on what class is using the Bloodlust. Maybe the Berserker could give more damage while you're doing the Bloodlust, the Tracker could do more movement speed, the Shaman could heal, and maybe the Smith could do ammo regeneration or something along those lines. Just something to give them a little bit more oomph. And I think one of the best things about this particular game as of right now is just the charm it has. It's definitely not trying to copy Deep Rock Galactic, but you can definitely see where the inspiration comes from and how it's trying to do its own thing and put its own unique stamp on the Monster Hunter co-op-esque type genre. And if you look at the roadmap that the devs have planned, they have a lot of stuff set up for this game further down the line. They have a horde mode, they have new monsters, new biomes, gem crafting systems, as well as a plethora of other things that we can look forward to. And I know the phrase early access is enough to scare a lot of people off, and I completely understand if you're somebody who is a little bit hesitant, and I understand if you're somebody who doesn't really like to get into early access games, especially when they're this early in development, but I do think that Hunters Inc. has a very good foundation and a great framework. And if the devs continue to update it and continue to put forth the time and effort that they have been, I can definitely see this being something that is on that same level of Deep Rock Galactic in terms of fun, charm, and overall community. Whether you have a quick primer on Hunters Inc. and what to expect from it, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to check it out for yourself, I have a link to it down in the description. And just so you know, this video was not sponsored in any way. I just really like this game a whole lot, and I want to give attention and credit to where it's due, because I really do think the developers have something good here, and I want to see it succeed. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video informative and entertaining. If you did, please be sure to let me know by hitting that like button and consider becoming a member and subscribing today, as it really helps me out a lot. Peace out, everybody. I will see you in the next video.